Brian St. Pierre of Precision Nutrition here, and in this video, I'm going to tell you all about reverse dieting. We get tons of questions on this topic, so I'm going to break it down for you step by step. And by the time I'm done, you'll have everything you need to know if reverse dieting is right for you. What is reverse dieting? Reverse dieting involves slowly and strategically increasing your food intake with the goal of raising your metabolism. People who reverse diet correctly can lose fat and gain muscle, all while eating more food than they were before. Where did reverse dieting come from? Well, it comes from the world of bodybuilding, and it was most recently popularized by a bodybuilder named Layne Norton. The idea is that when bodybuilders diet for a show, they follow a very low-calorie diet for a period of time, and they get to very low levels of body fat. And their body adapts to this by lowering their metabolism quite significantly. Once they reach their goal weight, if they just started eating as much as they had before, they'll add all kinds of excess body fat. So a smart bodybuilder will slowly and systematically increase their calorie intake over time so that their weight gain is steady and incremental, and they add mostly muscle mass back and not fat mass. Okay, but what if I'm not a bodybuilder? Well, this is one of those times where the don't follow bodybuilding rules goes out the window. Because you see, when people diet, they tend to stop their diet once they reach their goal weight and return to their normal style of eating. And then they gain back fat really quickly. And then they start to diet again. And on this yo-yo cycle goes. If instead you choose to reverse diet once you've reached your goal weight, and you slowly and systematically increase those calories and portions over time, you can gain back any lean mass you lost, which helps to mitigate your hunger, keep your metabolism elevated, and allow you to maintain that fat loss for the long term. So, how does reverse dieting work? Well, the idea is the opposite of dieting. When you diet and you lose weight, your body responds by adapting to that intake. So not only do you burn fewer calories because you've gotten smaller, your body tries to compensate to prevent any further fat loss, so it lowers your metabolism even further. However, when you're trying to diet, this makes it harder to lose weight, and it makes it harder to keep that weight once you've gotten there. So one way to help prevent weight regain is to do something called reverse dieting. And in this regard, what will happen is when you slowly and systematically increase those calories, right, it'll allow your metabolism to creep back up. It'll allow you to regain some of the muscle mass and lean mass that you lost when dieting, because some always ends up coming off. And then this allows you to keep hunger at bay, because as that lean mass comes back, that sends a signal to your body, oh, we're being well fed, right? We're where we want to be. It's getting back up to where it used to be. So your metabolism increases, your hunger levels begin to drop, and then it makes it much easier to maintain that weight loss and to keep that body fat loss off for longer periods of time. But reverse dieting is not magic. It has gained some cult status in some quarters of the internet. Some people believe it to be a miracle worker, right? It seems to defy the laws of thermodynamics and physics and the energy balance equation. How can you possibly lose weight or keep weight off when I start eating more calories? Well, that's because the energy in and energy outsides are not mutually exclusive. When you slowly and incrementally increase your intake, your body will adapt by slowly and incrementally increasing your output, especially if we're adding some lean mass back while we're doing this. That'll really make sure your metabolism stays up and it keeps your energy output high. But again, you can't just, crank tons of calories and expect your output to magically match it and not have this occur. And that's why it has to be slow and systematic for this to work. There are 3 important caveats to know when you start to reverse dieting. 1, there are no guarantees. You need to know your calorie intake reasonably well, but people are not spreadsheets. We are not robots, right? So just because you have an idea of what your calorie intake should be and you adjust it a little bit, it doesn't always mean it's going to work how we think it works. This is not a scientifically proven method, right? This is based on what we know about human physiology, and so it doesn't always work for people as we expect. Number 2 is age. Metabolic rate diminishes as we age. There are things we can do to mitigate that, like exercise and eating enough protein, but no matter what, your metabolism will slow as you get older. That can make reverse dieting harder and less effective. And 3, you need to know your intake quite well for this to work. The truth is, reverse dieting is a pretty advanced dieting method, right? You have to know what you're eating on a daily basis, make small adjustments and track those adjustments on a regular basis. And we're talking like small adjustments, 50 to maybe 100 calories a day. So we're talking like 1/2 to maybe 1 teaspoon of peanut butter here. So if you're not consistently tracking and eating those same things on a regular basis, it can be hard for this to work. You also need to adjust your physical activity levels and resistance training up or down depending on your goals. And finally, you have to acknowledge and go into this knowing that it might not even work for you, because this is not a proven scientific method, but something that we have seen and experienced firsthand that works for some people, but not all. So who should try reverse dieting? Well, we think there are 3 specific situations where this can be an effective method to consider trying. Situation 1 would be people who have dieted for a long time, right, and maybe want to try slowly and incrementally increasing their intake for a more sustainable way of keeping that weight off. Situation 2 would be someone who's actually eating 1,200 calories a day and maybe not getting the results they seek. So by slowly and incrementally increasing their intake, they can raise their output, right, get that energy out up, and make it easier to then lower weight again, lower intake again, to see some body weight loss. Situation 3 would be someone who maybe actually wants to gain some muscle mass, and this method's a little bit different. This was previously popularized by our co-founder, JB, with something called G-Flux, and the idea was by increasing intake and activity at the same time, you increase metabolic output and you actually increase the body's ability to gain muscle mass. So here we're going to reverse diet by increasing intake, but we're also going to increase our training output. This is the opposite of how bodybuilders typically do it, where they increase their intake after dieting, but then they slowly decrease the amount of activity that they're doing for their weight to go up. Here we're going to do both things. We're going to increase intake, we're going to increase our resistance training and our exercise, and then slowly try to accumulate muscle growth over time. How to reverse diet in 5 steps. So let's say you actually decided you want to try this thing. How do you do it? Well, step 1, you need to choose your tracking method. As we mentioned before, you need to have a really good idea of what you're eating so that you can slowly and incrementally increase. So whether it's by tracking calories or macros or hand portions, you just need to pick a system and stick with it. Step 2, you need to determine what your maintenance calories are. You can use our nutrition calculator, which is in the link below, to find out what your maintenance calories are. And then you can test that for 2 to 4 weeks and see if that's working for you, whether you're gaining, losing, or maintaining weight, and adjust it until you find your actual maintenance intake. Step 3, you need to determine your macronutrient balance. There's no specific balance that is required here. It's really about your preferences. So there is one key though, is getting enough protein. For most people, getting about 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight is about what you're aiming for. This will help to make sure you're either maintaining your muscle mass or regaining any lost muscle mass that you had and helping to keep that metabolism elevated. From there, whether you want to do lower carb or lower fat, higher fat, that's really up to you. There's no magical mix. Step 4, choose your rate of progression. There are all kinds of ways to do reverse dieting, but we would limit you to 3 different options to help make it clear, whether you want to be conservative, moderate, or aggressive. Click the link in the description below to learn more about each particular strategy. Finally, step 5, monitor your progress and adjust as needed. So as you're going through, you're going to want to make sure you're gaining at the desired rate, at the rate of progress that you chose. This is where tracking your intake consistently and either weighing yourself regularly, taking body girth measurements, tracking your exercise performance, whatever goals and outcomes you're looking for, you're tracking them regularly to ensure you are meeting your rate of progress. And if you're not, you make any adjustments as needed, either eating more or eating less, or eventually maybe even changing your goals. In summary, reverse dieting is a specific tool for a specific job, and it takes a bit of effort and attention, but it's not magic. Right, no matter what you've seen on social media, it's not going to magically fix your metabolism or suddenly make you lose tons of weight, right? It's biology. So you need to pay careful attention to what you're doing, give it a go and try it out for you, but treat it as an experiment and see if it works for you or not. If you found this video useful, hit the like button below and tell me what other topics you'd like to learn about in the comments. Plus, make sure to subscribe to our channel to get notifications of our new videos. I'm recording still? Yeah. All right, let's try this again. People who can... I'll try that again. A pretty big challenge for most people. I'm gonna take that again. Mother... Click the link in the description below to learn more about each particular strategy. I think that should do it.
My daddy just swapped preferences, so I heard none of that.
But I gotta take it again, don't I? Yes.